Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining me. I know I took a couple days off over the weekend. Um, it felt good. I needed a break. Of course, I still have my two daughters, so a break isn't always exactly that, but it still felt good. Um, and they like to chill out over the weekend anyway, so they were pretty good about that. I just wanted to come on. That last video that I made, I had started talking about times of choosing like the flesh, right, over spirit, and like times that you would get consequences. One of the examples that I used wasn't really the best one. So I wanted to touch on it again. I think it is okay because it brings up the notion, like the idea of karma. So the example that I used was if I had two hungry kids, right? I don't know if I said two, but I said my kids are hungry and I go steal in order to provide for them. Obviously, that's a situation that, like, kind of the context of the time prior would really determine whether that was right for you to do that or not. If you always chose to steal in order to feed your kids, that's probably not right because you're being a vampire, you're being a leech, you're not finding any other way to provide for your children and for yourself, I guess, for that matter. You got to feed yourself too. On the other hand, though, when it comes down to things like providing for others, things like looking out for people that can't look out for themselves, whether it's an animal or a child or somebody with some kind of disability, an elderly person, things like that, you kind of get a little bit more leeway, I think. I mean, I'm not the one to judge any of this, obviously. I'm just trying to give some examples so people can wrap their head around, when something is right and when something is wrong. It sounds really simple and dumb, but if you look at the news, people are having a hard time deciding what's right and what's wrong. So let's go over this. So your karma comes into play, right, every single day. The actions that you make are always being recorded. Everything you do, whether humanity sees it or not, God sees it. So in a situation where you have hungry kids, if that's not the norm for you, if you're real desperate and you're just trying to do the right thing, sometimes you may or may not have to do the wrong thing in order to do the right thing, right? In order to provide for your kids so that they can grow up and be decent human beings. So yeah, we all know that you don't necessarily have to take care of your kids. A lot of people feel like they have to, right? Because the consequences of not doing that thing, not taking care of your kids, are greater than the work you have to put in order to take care of your kids. So you don't actually have to. You don't actually have to do anything. You don't actually have to pay your bills. You don't actually have to even feed yourself. But you're aware that, like I said, the consequences of not doing these things are worse than the actual effort that it takes to get these things done. So because you're already kind of, I don't want to say going out of your way, but you're already doing better than some. Some people decide to abandon their kids. And if you're doing it out of the honest goodness of your heart, if you're not doing it for some ulterior motive, right? Like, I'm just going to take care of my kids so that when they're older, they can take care of me. Like, nothing like that. As long as you're doing it out of, like, the goodness of your heart, then I think in that situation, if you have some good karma built up from consistently being a good person, then yeah, you can kind of borrow from that a little bit. Borrow from that good karma. That's kind of like good credit. Like spiritually, it's like good credit. Bad karma is like bad karma credit, so you don't really get to borrow off that. When your karma is bad, it's like you're eventually stuff is going to start coming back and hitting you. Do unto others as you would have done to yourself. That's like the golden rule, right? That kind of can tell you where you fall on any given decision. Generally, I think so. I am going to try to make this just real quick. I wanted to check in. I do have a lot going on with my kids right now and my personal life. It's not moving as quickly as I would like. I've kind of been stagnant for a really long time, and it's getting annoying. I did kind of have to make like a head over heart decision maybe 2 weeks ago now. It wasn't fun. It was the right thing to do, absolutely. But I maybe possibly shot myself in the foot. I'm really hoping not. Um, Looking at the track record of my life, it's kind of difficult to have a lot of hope for the situation. Um, but that's what I've been told to do, right? And I guess I have to keep the faith, even though it's my faith is wavering, like 100%. It's like, what the heck? Like 100 times a day. Why am I still here? What do you need? What do you want from me? How do I get out of here? How? Because everywhere I turn, there's a blockage. So obviously, there's one particular way that I'm not seeing. It's like kind of driving me nuts a little bit. So let me get back to that. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next